So today we are building a tactic around the Regista, an interesting role in FM, and one that I've actually used a lot, mainly in a double pivot. I've tried it in a single pivot. Vacates the sort of like the DM slot often, very much different to a kind of a playmaker, so much more in terms of freeness. So I always think it's good to. I've tried putting it together in this Barcelona side. Using Frankie as a Regista. I tried to get Rafinha, Pedri, Lamine Yamal and Rashford all at the same time. Didn't quite work. So we've had to get in a solid Romeo just to go alongside him, and that's what we're going to look at in today's video. So, the rule itself. Now, interestingly, last week in particular, there was a couple of things in the rule kind of description that made us kind of think of a role differently to what it actually played in particular in FM, in particular the Rum Deuter role. Said it wouldn't help defensively, and, that kind of was proven not to be the case. I think it's always best for you guys to, if you want to play with a Regista or you want to play with a certain tactic and you want to put it into your save, maybe just save your tactic file, put it into a different save, and just then watch how the role works. And we're going to kind of do that today and kind of ignore what it says in here. Now, to be fair, I do think the Regista is kind of correctly worded. The Regista is more of an aggressive version of a deep line playmaker. I'll show you an instance of that in a minute. For possession-orientated systems that press high up the pitch, perfect for Barca. Giving complete freedom to dictate play from deep positions, the Regista offers a dynamic and unpredictable creative outlet from behind the attack, who seeks to maintain intense pressure by constantly looking for chances as his more advanced teammates get into goal-scoring positions. The Regista is only available in support duty. Now, as you can see, I've got Dribble More on because I absolutely love that in a Regista, and I have that as a kind of complete holding, playmaking midfielder. The opportunity not only to have a good range of passing, but also to drive with the ball. I think Kobbie Mainoo's got the potential of being a really good kind of Regista. The only thing that lets him down is his long passing range. He doesn't have that switch of play yet, but he's very good at punching balls into sort of like 10 positions, and we've kind of got 3 attacking midfielders for De Jong to find today. And we've kind of done it with a Barcelona system in mind. I've not built it solely around the Regista, but I've just kind of offset a few things. Not having the AP in front of him because they would probably get in each other's way. Rafinha's going to stretch the play that way. So hopefully it'll allow De Jong to have a little bit of space in sort of like that half space. It does get further up, as I said. Perfect example. So in this instance, we played like an offset 4-2-3-1. We had Pedri and De Jong as a double pivot, but I actually had Pedri starting in the CM position as a roaming playmaker. Offset. De Jong eventually gets the assist because you see like he's ball hungry, but I just find his positions, in particular the ball's gone out now, he gets into quite advanced areas and he's more than happy, to go beyond Pedri and get into really good attacking positions. So they will start deep, and we'll see that today. There you go, he gets his assist. Well, he'll start deep for sure in build-up, and then as play progresses, he ends up turning into like an 8/10. It's not a real holding midfielder. I do love a DLP on defend. That's like my go-to as a kind of a playmaking number 6 that's going to stay in there. For me, this needs to be in a 4-3-3. I actually did it really well with a Leeds United tactic a while ago, playing Calvin Phillips as a Regista single pivot in a 4-1-4-1. But in amongst him, in between him, he did have a couple of more defensive players, like a ball-winning midfielder who didn't venture far forward. So you could do it like that, but I do think having this scenario here, especially if you're having aggressive wing-backs as well, having an anchor just to block and be getting ready, rest defence, getting ready for counter-attacks, etc. So, yeah, we've just played 2 games, disappointing draw at Celta Vigo. Played pretty well, though. With that, as you can see, the offset tactic. So this is where I thought we'd change. We've had a real good win against Vallecano, which you'd expect. It is Barcelona, but I just want to, play the game today, like we have done in previous videos, and kind of highlight the strengths of the Regista, the movements of the Regista, what you're kind of going to get in and out of possession. More so in possession. I think, with the Regista, he's going to wander out and vacate that DM slot, but he will get back in. I think we'll see that today. Unsure of Villarreal, the opponent. So we've got one video of this mini-series coming tomorrow. The last one is the inverted wing-back. So make sure you subscribe. We'll go through the tactic at the end as well. For you patrons, by now, you have the tactic in your folder as a direct download. If you head over to the Patreon, link down in the description, you want to support me, the creator, blah, 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 you want to support the channel, that would be awesome. So they're lining up in a 4-4-2, which I kind of like, because I'm really hoping that in that 4-4-2, we're going to get lots of overloads in that central area. We'll hopefully see Frankie really press on. He's going to not have much to do, maybe out of possession. Be interested to see what he does, because obviously this side is ball side to him, so he's going to be getting stuck. Remember when we looked at the libero and the defensive midfielder last week in the Real Madrid video, where we kind of said, look, the DLP was kind of going towards the ball at all times. I'm interested to see what the Regista does when it's on the other side. But here we go, look. Good movement. So he finds little pockets, and then because of that dribble more on as well, you really get that quality. I think Frankie's got good dribbling attributes. So I do think in the game, Kobe Menu is really good. Let me know your suggestions, other FM, who've you used in FM24 as a Regista. Let me know down in the comments. People might be able to pick up a few bargains before FM26 comes out. Tomorrow's video is inverted wingbacks, and I think Wednesday as well, we've got another video where we're kind of putting all these roles that we've done over the last few weeks. We're going to put them into one tactic and try and get it working in FM. Lamal's in. De Jong's there. He's still there. So you can see he's not really in that holding, rest defence, kind of worrying about the counter-attack. As soon as that ball's in and around that area, he's wanting to create things. Now, he may not get massive numbers in terms of goals and assists. I think, to be fair, his goal output for the season might not be too bad because he's getting in and around that penalty area, but he's kind of the connecting pass. It's that pass that maybe goes into a 10 or goes out wide before it comes in the box. I think you still want to try and find, like, I know we've got Pirlo in the video. He was like, not the original, but a classic Regista, but very different in profile. I do like the Regista that can defend a little bit and have that physicality to dribble. It's maybe just a modern day approach, you know. There's not many players like a Jorginho now or a Pirlo that are very, what's the best way, like unathletic, but not got that quick turn of pace, physically dominant. There's not many of those players around anymore, kind of sitting M6s. Maybe Zubamendi. He's probably quite close to it, you know, quite small in terms of physique. Kobe Menu to a certain extent as well, that we've already spoke about. So yeah, any real life Registas as well? Who are you thinking? When I think Regista 2025, who are we thinking? I think Frankie's role has kind of changed now as well at Barca, because when he's been fit, they've often done double pivot with him and Pedri, and obviously you don't want Pedri as the anchor, so his role has kind of almost been a little bit more withdrawn over the course of sort of like Hansi Flick's period of being manager. So he's perhaps not a Regista anymore. So that's mainly why we've kind of got Romeo in the team. I think who is it could do it at Manchester City as well. Is it Reinders? A Reinders / De Jong, Rodri double pivot would be exceptionally good. Okay, we're into the second half. I've just put it on comprehensive because the kind of game's been a little bit dull. They're doing these 2 banks of 4. So you can see he's not been overly aggressive in coming to the ball, which is a little bit of a difference between that and the deep line playmaker. The deep line playmaker would often go into areas where it would not be needed. Whereas I just find with the Regista, I don't know if it's just an eye test thing or it's an in-game thing. I do see the Regista being less hungry to kind of dropped in there to a nice half-pack position, but really not trying to get in other people's ways. We saw that with the Ardagula being the DLP and the libero. He was kind of stepping into the libero's area, where the De Jong is kind of just happy sitting in the, sort of like the left centre space and working in the left sort of like half space. I think having that dribble more just gives him another way of breaking out, you know, beating a press with a nice little turn and a change of pace. We saw that, I keep mentioning Kobe, but we saw that so well with England in the Euros when Kobe played alongside Declan Rice, that he was allowed to get on it and kind of move and drive with the ball, beating the press with a nice turn of pace and a nice little turn and trick and driving into midfield that way rather than just passing. And if he's got the space like here, you know, carry, commit a player. Like he's dragged 2 or 3 places, a great run. Oh, I just need slipping. I thought he could have slipped Yamal in there. So good at just moving into spaces, not necessarily hunting the ball, like ball hungry. I wouldn't say necessarily is compared to a DLP. We've scored there, and that's kind of come from that run from De Jong. We go back in here to where it was. So Baldy up, good positions. And then now he's got that space and he's in the middle of that square. Just look what happens to these four. He sucks in 2-3 players. Turn a pace to get away, drive it into that space. I think that's why you need an anchor as well alongside, or a ball-winning midfielder on defend, half-back. Someone who's going to sit and allow him to do that. Because if he vacates that area and you've got everyone else on sort of like Mazzalas, box-to-box midfielders, roaming playmakers, they're going to leave that huge gap in behind. See, once again, he's just finding a nice little space, nice bit of space. He's not automatically coming to the ball. And he's quite happy to move out and then move back in. Good run from Pedri. See, look where he is. Romeo's to be fair. Your anchor should not be in there. I'm sorry, Football Manager. My anchor should not be in there. I would maybe accept it if he's done the Pedri run and he's been allowed to kind of get forward. But look at that. Look where he is. He's also cramping up the space. I don't want to see that from an anchor. I do find that a lot in FM. Like, I know we haven't even got attacking on, we've got positive mentality, but, anchor should be anchor. That was almost Volante-esque. So it's quite frustrating with some of the player roles. Rafinha's found a good position. So that's why I've got the Rafinha in that area as a shadow striker. I was just a little bit concerned about having the AP in front of him as we make it 2-0, is having the registers kind of space blocked a little bit. We know the shadow strikers, we've got a play instruction to stay wider as well for Rafinha, but I was a little bit concerned that he would drop into these areas if it was the Pedri as an AP. So at least we know with Rafinha he's going to drive forward, look, onto the defensive line, which then leaves that space for De Jong to work, and if the player's set back. It's a lovely pass from Lewandowski. And I said the result's not important. I think the idea is that you guys just see me breaking down what I think the Regista can offer you. It would probably work in a nice half-back as well if you wanted to really push on your full-backs. It would probably work well alongside a bog-standard half-back. Maybe less risky passes as well, so it doesn't take the playmaking away from the Regista. He's a really good connect. Like, he plays like a deep line playmaker, really good connector, and does like to venture a little bit more aggressive in venturing into that final third, and more importantly into that penalty area. Good switcher play. See, that's what we don't get with Manchester United at the moment with Cobby. He could probably do it. He just doesn't do it naturally. And then you get the two variations there. You get that lovely switch of kind of Pirlo-esque play, and then you get the almost quick, incisive little pass, line breaking pass. In the same sort of like sequence there, which was pretty cool. But, do you know, I do think a Bruno Fernandes would be good as a Regista. I think if, Man United are playing as a DM, once Mbeumo gets himself in, I think Bruno Regista is potentially a role. Maybe not dribble more. He's not a great dribbler, is he, Fernandes? Maybe the Regista would just bog standard Regista without dribble more on. I just like to see them glide and kind of cover, carry the ball, take the ball, rather than that kind of that almost static deep line play where you get it, give it, and switch of players, lovely variations in passes, but sometimes you just want the player just to drive with it. Trying to get my two centre-halves to do that, the team that I'm coaching at the moment. Driving, we're playing a lot of teams with a 4-3-3, kind of single striker, don't know how to press, and it's quite easy to break out, and we kind of drag the centre forward to one side, get the ball playing defender free on the other. He then kind of supposed to drive into midfield and commit a player. And trying to get them to do that has been difficult, but when you do see it, like, we don't need him to do loads of different mint skills. It's just a case of, can you drive into that space? Can you then disrupt their block? By the idea is that what we're trying to do with the team on the Saturday team that we're working with is trying to then disrupt that midfield line. So he comes in, he drives into midfield, and midfielder then will have to come out of his sort of like his zone, and then you can play around him, not with a neat turn or a neat pass, simple maybe diagonal or sideways square pass or something, anything like that, just to disrupt the shape. And I think the Regista does it really well. Looking forwards, like simple passing to feet. I think it's good that with the Regista as well, you have that connector in terms of that we've got Lewandowski as a centre forward on support, complete forward on support. There we go, a lovely goal by Pedri. That he's got someone to play into, like break lines, like he did do. So if we play from here when Balde picked it up. So there is De Jong, look. Not necessarily just trying to find some space. Like he's not come involved, he's allowed the anchor, but he has managed to get it. Little bump into midfield, break the line, through the sort of like the two strikers that were sitting deep. And then we're off. We've got a nice overload down this right-hand side. Koundé, that's a wing-back on defend, but we'll get forward. Lovely play, and De Jong's in there, edge of the area, if needs be. I think the only thing maybe about the defensive part of it is positioning I'm kind of fine. He does like to be the free man back. I've noticed a couple of times when he gets into the area, he likes to just sit on the edge. I think if you're really looking for that all-rounder, you maybe do also want someone who's got them defensive attributes, good positioning, maybe a bit of marking. But really, your Regista's there to dictate play. Look, he's off again. Look, just a couple of dribbles, just not much, not flash. You know, we're not asking him to do a Yamal here and beat 3 players, but just drive. Lovely switch. Oh, nearly a lovely switch of play. But just that opportunity just to dribble, to get out of a tight area, just mixes it up a little bit. Makes it a really nice player to watch in the game. I think he looks better in 2D. He looks so much better in 2D. You seem to see so much of the movement of all players when you use it in 2D. It's a terrible pass. Like, De Jong's there. Just give him it. Give him it there. Like, so that pass, I shout at my 2 centre-halves. They're not allowed to do that. If it's going to there, it goes into the other centre-half first. He then attracts the pressure of Pino, and then we play around. That's how we work, and we have our wide centre-back wider. I'm actually going to be covering a video on the tactic that we've been doing with not my team. I'm just helping coaching in pre-season a team that are actually in the Football Manager game. If you get the non-league database, they're in like level 10 or something like that. They're really far down in the non-league database, but they're there. So I've been helping them out in pre-season, helping the manager, player managers. So yeah, we may well kind of cover that. If you'd like to see that, let me know. I'm hoping to maybe potentially cover it next week, I think. But yeah, anyway, that pass just shouldn't happen. It's the wrong choice of pass. De Jong's run's interesting. Like, he's got not much to do here, has he? I think that's fine. If anything, he hasn't... Does he need to go out there? He looked a little bit lost, but there wasn't necessarily anyone in and around there to kind of mark. They have got a little bit of luck with a goal. I just love to see him when he kind of has that little opportunity to just drive forward with the ball, be positive with it. I think, especially number 6s nowadays, you love a number 6 who's just so boring on the eye. You know, get it, give it, get it, give it. Don't really have a... You know, they're technically very good, but they don't do anything with it. They're not good out of possession. I think if you're going to have a number 6 in there who's really safe in possession, I think they need to be that destroyer, anchor kind of role. No point having a really technical player in there who's just going to play backwards. Very much like the academy kind of sessions and matches that you can often watch where the number 6 is just sitting in front and doing absolutely nothing with it. Just side to side, backwards and forwards. And the Regista is a breath of fresh air when it comes to the match engine. It's a good out of possession. Like, he's not lazy. Once again, I think we have that idea of maybe Pirlo being not great. Well, he was all right out of possession. Just wasn't the quickest to kind of cover the ground. And at times, Pirlo as well had people like Vidal in front of him. Who's the other one? Is it Mas? Put a picture up now. That guy, Italian midfielder, to kind of do a lot of the running around him and stuff. Right, happy with that. They're not happy with that. Prefer post-match team talk, but never mind. Right, here's the tactics. Said it is available for the Patreons. Link down in the description if you want to support the channel. That would be really much appreciated. Channel's doing well at the moment, so loads of people interested in. Obviously, when the new season kicks in as well, we'll be looking at more real life tactics again and really diving into what how teams are setting up for the 25-26 season. So, right, sweeper keeper on support. You can leave that as much as you want. Now, the back line, I think, slightly important. I know we've got this offset, but remember, you're going to lose him. I wouldn't class De Jong as really helping in, rest defence. So we've got Koundé as a wing back on defend. I've done that so it allows your Mal as well to be 1v1. 2 ball playing defenders. Wing back on attack. No play instructions on any of them. Romeo, anchor, could be on ball winning midfield if you wanted. Right, sorry. Lost myself there a little bit. Phone call from the manager of the team that we're coaching. New player interested in coming and signing, so he's asking me thoughts. And I've been on the phone for about 25 minutes and kind of lost where we were. I think we were in and around Romeo, as I said, being that anchor and allowing the Regista to roam. Now, for Frankie, the Regista, we've gone with that dribble more. I do think it's something that you need to put it in, just to give you that extra... Well, you've seen it. You've seen it in the match, what that dribble more instruction can do. Now, Frankie, in terms of his attributes, dribbler, first touch, long shots, yes, but we're not... Me, personally, I'm not after that in the Regista. Passing technique, vision, teamwork, off the ball, flair, decisions, composure, anticipation, balance. You see, there's nothing really defensively in there. I said positioning. His position not regarding Regista, but he is playing DM, so... Yeah, there's not many of them around, is there? That's why Man United wanted him. I think he would be the perfect kind of attribute. Ignore the long shots, get someone who can dribble, and then you're good to go. And I said, if you're going to change it a little bit, you need to make sure that this space here is not blocked up, because he likes to go in here. Not so much driving in with the ball, but going into those areas to pick it up. And what we're having is, because we've got Balde doing that, we've got Rafinha being the shadow striker. So I've got roam from position from him, so he'll vacate that area, hopefully. But the idea is he stay wider, he'll get into wider positions. We know shadow strikers, we've seen he'll really hit on that back line. He'll push onto maybe that right centre-half, or that space between the right back and the right centre-half. So that's something to be aware of. If you're doing more of a natural... So like a natural 4-2-3-1, I would maybe still offset it. So if you wanted Rafinha playing as maybe the wide player out here, I would still maybe even offset it, just to allow him as much space as possible. So with possession, you end up being sort of like your 3-1-6 kind of formation, if that makes sense. So it would be, Balde's going to get up there. Rafinha joins the front line. De Jong goes into there, and then you've kind of got your sitters. And it would look a little bit like that out of possession. That makes sense. So just be conscious about not blocking up the space. So there we go. Yamal, I put him as a winger. Take more risks and cut inside with the ball. I'm trying to make the pitch as big as we can. So I've got him as a winger. He's not an inside. It can be maybe an inverted winger, but he starts extremely wide, and then you could see him gliding. Pedri, AP on support with Rafinha, as we spoke about. Run from position, stay wider. And then... your complete forward on support for it's more of a Lewandowski kind of role. Advanced forward will work, no problem, especially if you're playing more of a box standard 4-3-3. It'll push that defensive line back even further, and maybe even allow De Jong a little bit more time, a little bit more space, on the ball. Team instructions: positive mentality, wide attacking width, trying to make that pitch as wide as possible so he has that scope of kind of switching the play, having more room in the middle to work, play out a defence, work the ball into box, shorter passing, high tempo, FM kind of stuff. We've not done much in here, but it would be counter-pressing. I just decided to leave it off. I didn't see the need to do it because we are team instructions out of possession pressing high. But yeah, counter-press would be a good one. In distribution, we've gone distribute to position, and I'm trying to get the goalkeeper to find him as much as possible. Didn't see it a great deal in the game, but I think that's because we dominated it. Take short kicks. And then much high line, high press if you want to be super good. Step up more. So maybe they're the only 2 changes. I will leave them off, but those are maybe the only 2 changes I'd maybe look at using to be really Hansi Flick Barcelona. Right. That is the Regista. There you go. Right now, available for the Patreons, the inverted wingbacks will be ready tomorrow. We've got the ultimate roles tactic as well later on in the week. And then next week, we'll take a look at my real life 4-2-3-1 formation that we've got rocking at good old Kirby Moorside in North Yorkshire, and show you the kind of the thought. They're a lot better than the team that I previously worked with. So the technical things and the tactical things that I've given, in particular fullbacks and the wide players coming in and stuff, they've managed to follow it really well. I should really try and record a game at some point. That'd be pretty cool. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash a like. See you later.